Good evening and happy Tuesday. We are back at the final whistle. It is, I said it earlier, it is buckle up your chin strap week here in Tuscaloosa. We got a team that likes to play a little bit of physical football, but guess what? That's how we roll in Tuscaloosa too. But this is how we roll on Tuesday nights, and that's with the Avengers here at the final whistle talking Alabama football. And, man, I've got my crew with me tonight. We're back normal. Maybe we may have a surprise guest if he can figure out how to get the internet plugged up at his house. We'll see. But we do have the bigger, better-looking James already in the house, the one, the only Dan James. How are you doing, sir?
Always good. Happy Tuesday, my Crimson Avengers.
That's right. And below him, a man never short on words, a man always long on list, the man, the myth. Man, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, but this is Oklahoma Revenge Week. Remember, the 23rd of November. If last year's ugly-ass loss ain't fired this team's up, then they ain't got a damn pulse. So let's go in and let's get some damn revenge this year, boys.
Let's do it. Let's do it. And look, man, he may kill me. I don't really give a shit. He's got. I'm on his list like 7 times now for being a jackass on this show. But the man next to him is one I got to give some special praise to this day, because this badass right here, this bad son of a bitch went over for all of us. And the reason we get to do shows like this is because not give a shit, go take care of business. Badass Americans like Lushan went and defended us. Thank you, my man Lou, right up under us right here. I'll give some shout out to this man today.
Thank you very much for that lovely introduction, Petty. But we ain't here for all that. We're here to talk about the bad Alabama Crimson Tide. It's revenge week, as Van Edwards said. I'm excited for many freaking reasons. Petty, I can't even wait to get into it. Jump right into it.
Let's go. And look, as my man Keith likes to joke about, I am Triple Agent Petty, but Agent Petty's here only for one damn reason tonight, and that's to talk Alabama football. So let's get it going. Guys, I said it. It's buckle up your chin strap week. So the elephant in the room, let's be real.
Petty.
Oh, love, light. Play the bill. I'm sorry, especially, I got to give love to these because you better have this waving when Boomer comes to town this week. There's a wave rising in the South, and it's not the ocean. It's the title towel, the ultimate symbol of Bama power, brought to you by WhitwillSports.com. Whether you're in Bryant-Denny or repping from your living room, the title towel brings the heat. Crimson, bold, unapologetically Alabama. And right now, you can wave yours for less. Use the promo code WHISTLE at the checkout and get 20% off at WhitwillSports.com. Join the wave, wave the power. Get your title towel today at WhitwillSports.com. Whitwill Sports, as always, we love you. We thank you. Our audience, Latoya, Felicia, everybody that's up in there right now. See, man, Keith, Mitch, man, roll Tide. Go get that title towel today. Use that promo code. What's up, Biggs? And let's get this show rolling, guys. Okay. As I was
Hold them if you got them.
Roll them if you got them.
Roll them if you got them.
Hold them if you got them.
Oh, I thought he said roll them. I was going to say it's got different meaning up my way.
I was like, yeah.
Well, we going back to college. Okay. So, look, man, this is a buckle up your chin strap game. The elephant in the room. Can Alabama win the war of the trenches in this good old-fashioned blue blood battle? After that, man, we are going to talk a little bit, man. The Tigers, Geaux, went down in Titletown. And like I like to always say, winners win, champions cover the spread. Alabama did both. And we're going to hop right into it, scouting the Sooners. I will be looking forward to Van's list on that LSU game, especially since 2 of these panel members are old and may have missed a few minutes at the end. And guys, man, I know it's all about pass blocking, and I need to. This is where I failed as an analyst looking at what this kid does when he run blocks. But I know what I see when he runs the ball, and I know what I see in his ability. So we're going to talk a little about RB1 and what we want to see from there, because I know I'm kind of the belief the DNA's out on this team. I'm not sure we're going to see the running game everybody's grown accustomed to in Tuscaloosa. But maybe there are some dudes that can pump it up a little bit more as we get into the postseason. We're going to talk about all that. So buckle up, hit that like and subscribe. As I've heard, somebody might have got monetized here recently because we have got so much love from you fine people watching the Final Whistle. So hit that like and subscribe as we get going tonight. Well, let's get to it, man. Elephant in the room. There's no doubt Oklahoma has one of the best front sevens, probably the best front sevens, but no, they're just not. All right, scratch all that. Oklahoma has the best front seven that Alabama has faced this year. They're one of the top teams in the SEC against the run. They're one of the top teams in the country getting to the quarterback. And man, I don't know if you've seen 38 and 32 hit some people, but them dudes bring the wood. They've got some guys that can play. Alabama's front's going to have to bring it, but likewise, Oklahoma's front's going to have to bring it. They haven't done well. They're not the best rushing team in college football, and Alabama's quietly put together maybe the best defense in the SEC, and especially the second half defense under Kane Womack. So, guys, that's me done preferences. I'm done talking. I'm going to let the guys that know a crap ton more than I do about it go with it. Dan, can Bama win the war of the trenches against this Oklahoma squad?
Let me tell you, it won't be easy. Can they? Without a doubt. Will they is another thing. We got to be able to be more balanced than what we've been, especially against, a team like Oklahoma. The good thing is we're at home. But I will say, you could throw the LSU game film away because, like I said, going into the game, I said, I didn't want to, the guys to take that mentality, but it was going to be a glorified scrimmage. Because you got to think where we're going. We got Oklahoma coming up, sign still in Oklahoma. We wasn't going to show too much. And you think about the game last year where. How do we beat LSU? We beat them with the quarterback run. If Ty would have kept the ball a couple of times, man, we would have had over 200 yards rushing again. They came in dead set on, stopping the run. They knew that, Ty wasn't going to keep the ball. And if you watch any of the media videos, behind the scenes, Coach DeBoer said before the game, he said, it don't matter what we do. It's how we do it. We're going to do what we do, and we're going to do it better than them. He said that before the game. So, it is what it is. We pretty much just took the air out the ball, in that game. So that's why I say you could just throw that game film. We wasn't going to show too much. That's why we ran the same trick. And, so, it was just a case of us just knowing we were the better team and going out and just dominating them at the line of scrimmage.
Well, Van, is this the key matchup, and is this an area where Alabama that favors the Tide?
Look, I'm going to repeat exactly what Dan said on this first bit here. Can Alabama win the war in the trenches? Yeah. Will they? Hard to say. And a lot of it, for me, depends on what side of the ball we're talking here, because our O-line against anybody trying to run the ball, nah, we ain't winning that war. Not against Oklahoma, not against Fresno State, not against Wisconsin Whitewater. We can't run the ball. And I don't see it changing this year. I'm almost to the point I'm sick of talking about it to myself during the game, screaming about why can't we run the ball? I mean, is it a combination of lack of understanding by the players, the wrong fit of players for what we do? I think it's that. Scheme, hell, I don't know. What I do know is that we have absolutely zero push off the ball. Any team in the country that can hit the gaps can hold us to 3 yards or less. I do blame the coaching for Formby still playing, much less starting. In fact, I wrote down why the F is he still playing, but I'm trying to hold my cuss words in a little bit. He had one good game and a ton of bad ones. We can't get enough push there again, and we can't get to the second level to run inside. And outside of Brailsford pulling, we ain't athletic or quick enough to run outside either. They've done a great job pass blocking for the most part. I'd say probably one of the better jobs in the country pass blocking. But we're one-dimensional right now because of lack of run game. And you can put any combination of running back in, and I still don't think we'll be able to run consistently. It's interesting the fact that before his current tenure at Alabama, DeBoer has never been a duo run scheme guy, which is power without the pull. He was always more of a counter or mid-wide zone type of guy, and I think that's because of a lack of athleticism at the tackles. We need to be mobile, agile, and hostile to run to the outside and get to the second level. And looking at our future recruits, we will be, but that don't fix this year. We're getting out-physicaled. I can understand smaller D linemen being able to out-quick them, but their big asses are getting out-physical, and there's zero excuse for that. There's some big old boys out there, and they're strong, so I don't understand it. Bunch of mental errors are showing up at different times. I saw guys lunging at defenders with their heads down trying to block. But so my answer is I don't think they can change enough of that to win the war in the trenches running the ball. Now, on our D-line, yeah, they can win the trenches. In fact, I think they get better every week. The last 4 games exclusively. Key injuries along the line forced Alabama's hand early and made us get deeper into our depth of rotation. Turns out our underclassmen are hungry. We got a bunch of guys who will take your job. There's absolutely zero drop-off when London Simmons or Edric Hill enter the game compared to Tim Keenan or James Smith, in my opinion. This is valuable for this team as anything. Having guys that young who can step in and play, it can't be overlooked. So, for the coaches on the D-line, Freddie Roach, to me, it's one of the better jobs he's done since he's been there thus far. I've called for his job in the past, and, if he keeps getting these guys to play like this, I'll eat crow and I'll happily do it. And great job by Womack, too, but we'll get to him later in the show. That's my dog.
Womack's earning the check.
Yes, sir.
I mean, if you got something, I mean, we'll say how I want to roll into that, because I want to say, hey, Lou, anything to add to can Bama win the war in the trenches, but more so, you got to win to a degree, but how much does it matter on the offensive side?
Yeah, I'm going to cover all this, Petty. I got you. All right. So the main thing everybody needs to keep in mind is that I'm going to say this right here. Oklahoma's offensive line weighs in at 1,562 pounds. That's an average of 312 pounds, 6'5" per guy. They can move people. They're light on their feet, and they like to be physical. The one thing is they're not overly big. 312 pounds is not big for an SEC lineman. That's the size of a lot of our defensive tackles, and it's not going to pose too much of a threat as far as them being able to out-muscle us. Now, as far as the other side of the football, their top 7 linemen weigh in at 2,034 pounds between them. That's an average of about 300 apiece. But here's the thing that everybody needs to remember. This isn't a massively sized defensive line. A lot of these guys are about 6'2", 6'3". They're not real long, but they are stout and they are physical, and they do like to play stronger at the point of attack than most teams we faced. They also got a couple guys coming off the edge that are highly effective in what they try to do. Brent Venables is a defensive sign-stealing guru who bases his attack off film. The good thing for us is we've shown so many offensive lineups as far as on our offensive line. There's really no set fix to get a combination of what they're going to be seeing. And that actually plays in our favor. We've actually put so much film out there that it's actually going to start at this point in the season. Teams aren't going to know who's going to be on the field according to what situation's going on. So Alabama has created some confusion in lineup and personnel groupings that I think is going to help us. Now, as far as can we win the war in the trenches? Absolutely. It's just a matter if Wilkin Formby actually wants to bring his lunch pack and pack another one, because if he's going to be out there starting, he needs to stop getting thrown around and stop diving on piles and just making blatant brain farts, because it's affecting us. In my opinion, probably Michael Carroll should start. Been saying that, said that. I think, in my opinion, you got Caden Proctor, Dewberry, Parker Brailsford, Jaden Roberts, and Michael Carroll are our best offensive line. And if you have to sub one of the guards out, it's got to be Willie Sanders. So, I mean, but other than that, I think Alabama's going to win the war in the trenches. I think these guys know exactly what's on the line at this point in the season. I think Ty Simpson's got this team in a mindset to take care of business. We'll address the running back questions a little bit later in the show, but Petty, I think that's what we got for this one.
Hey, man. Yeah, good stuff, guys. And I'll go deeper. I'm not going to – y'all are going to break it down. But when we get into the Sooner breakdown, we'll dive into a parlay off of winning the war in the trenches and exactly what the DNA and what that looks like and what that means. But before we do that, we got to put those corn dogs to rest. Final thoughts. One of my favorite segments is in this section is when my man over here starts going through his list. Final thoughts on that. We'll start with Dan because his will be quick because, you know, when you dance at the nursing home at 6:30, it's hard to make it to that 7 o'clock halftime. So, Dan, give us those thoughts from the first quarter and what you saw.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll start with the bad. The bad is going 4-13 on third down. You know, that's not going to cut it, you know, against Oklahoma. You know, we got to be able to sustain drives. We got to be able to, and, you know, we also lost the time of possession, you know, 28 minutes, a little over 28 minutes to 31 minutes for LSU. You know, that's not going to get it done against Oklahoma. You know, 26 carries for 56 yards ain't going to cut it either. It's going to be, you know, highly ineffective, you know, against the team. So we got to be able to play fast and, you know, play better. But, you know, we're talking about LSU. So what I did like, though, you know, this is another game and we're trending in the right direction as far as penalties. Only 2 penalties for 25 yards. You know, that is outstanding. That was a thing that has been the last 4 to 5 years. You know, and we made tremendous strides in that area. You know, we used to be one of the years, and I think we made tremendous strides in that aspect. But, you know, overall, it was, you know, hard fought win, you know, rivalry, and we were able to impress several recruits on hand, a lot of them being from the state of Louisiana. So, you know, that was a plus, you know, and it was a wonderful, you know, electric environment. You know, the recruits are raving about it. So, you know, big win in that aspect.
Look, anytime you beat LSU's ass, it's a big win and always a good night. But I'll say this, my list is pretty much narrowed down to I watched the game and our buddy from the other network, Justin Steadley, texted me and I saw y'all's text. But Justin's really like, oh, we're going to blow this. Here's the one list I got. LSU was never a threat in that game. Not at one point. Even as when Bama wasn't just rolling in the first half, LSU wasn't a threat. But that's my list. That's a simple list. I know this man doesn't have a simple list. It's going to be better and a lot more entertaining. Van, without further ado, let it roll, my man.
Well, folks, it's that time of the week again where I give the most uneducated, uninformed, but really raw takes on YouTube. Let's see. First thing I wrote down here was thank God these talent evaluators at certain recruitment-based websites judge ratings off of which camps you go to and how many you attend versus what you show on the field and what your floor versus ceiling is. If Latair Brooks is a 3-star wide receiver, then I'm qualified to be governor. I take that back. I might be overqualified to be governor. Regardless, from the opening kickoff return to the clutch third quarter reception that had him put 3 LSU defenders on skates, this guy is a star. He continues to impress and stand out in a star-studded wide receiver room. When you're playing with guys like Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, and Isaiah Horton, you have to make every opportunity count. He has done that and then some. And then my next note here says, look, I'm not an expert at anything outside of drinking Coors Light and cashing checks, but I know that we will never be able to run the ball consistently with a lack of push and explosion that our O-line is giving. That Ty Simpson keeper should have been automatic for 1 yard. Instead, you couldn't drive a 16-penny nail in between the gaps they were provided. It's not good enough. Speaking of Ty, he had a rough game. To me, he hadn't really been himself since the end of the Tennessee game. He had okay numbers, but, man, he was off target. To be fair, with a lack of run game and mostly being in third and long situations, he did what he could. Let's not act like on any crucial drive that we've needed points that he hadn't come through time and time again. Nobody's going to play lights out every game in the same stretch that Bama has played through this year. I do think it helps when we get the ball to Cuevas and Edwards more. It gets him a rhythm and keeps him from getting flat. I'm not sure if we're trying to go deep until he can dial it in or if it is out of desperation because we can't run. But he's been subpar on balls thrown 30-plus yards. But I think it's fixable. He's a smart kid, talented guy. But I do have a theory that he's trying to play a little more average to avoid being drafted by the New York Jets. So that's just my theory. I don't know anything. I do know DeBoer has the black hoodie of death. But is it safe to say Womack's black vest of doom is also powerful in its abilities? I'm going to give a hot take here. I think the defense is outplaying the offense, and it's not really that close. We held LSU to their lowest total of the season. And this defense is getting better every single week. He's coaching his ass off out there, and his adjustments have made him look like one of the best in the country. LSU changed quarterbacks, and it didn't faze them. He adjusted, and the defense continued to harass. I love seeing stars develop as the season progresses. Pierre, Simmons, Hill, Lawson, Overton, Bray, among others, all played great. This looked like a top 10 unit Saturday night, in my opinion. Seeing a three-man front be dominant against the fellow O-line was mind-blowing. We hadn't seen that in quite a while. By the way, can we have a discussion on Kane Womack's fanny pack bandolero? What do you think he keeps in that thing? Is it communication equipment or do you think it's snacks? Because when his sugar bottom's out, he calls zero blitz. But he's out here looking like Clint Eastwood in The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, except his bullets are on the field. So we might need to hop on Amazon and get us one of them bandolero deals like that, man. It's getting in style. If I had to see the camera zoom in on that Whit Weeks kid one more time, I would have lost my damn mind. I felt like a Chiefs fan watching the camera zoom in on Taylor Swift after every play. He was just about as impactful as she is. The other brother, West, talked all that shit about playing for pride and ruining Alabama's season, but they didn't have enough pride to play well enough throughout the season to save Brian Kelly's job. They ruined the season, all right, their own. The irony. Parker Brailsford won SEC O-Line Player of the Week honors. I'm happy for him, but I think Formby was robbed. Show me an O-lineman with more receiving yards this week. I'll wait. He had 2. I think he passed Mike Shula on the all-time receiving list. Ty Simpson was quoted as saying that the Tide can't piss it away over the month of November. So now I'm confused if we're supposed to give a piss about nothing but the Tide or not. Or maybe we as Bama fans can't piss in the month of November. Regardless, I'm in. Let's freaking go. No piss November. Great win, especially by the defense. Always feels good to beat those guys, especially the ones who eat corn dogs for their shape, not the taste. And I kept it short and sweet just in case we had a special guest. But, yeah, man, happy for the win. Like what I seen out of the defense. What I seen out of Ty is definitely fixable. I still thought the receivers had good times. There was a couple of drops, but a lot of passes were off target. It's all stuff that you can fix. We're good. We're good.
Man, nailed it as always, Van. I think you made a great point about the defense too. I agree wholeheartedly. I think the defense is the offense has, it's been good enough lately, but the defense has been outstanding. That's always good stuff, man. Like, if people don't get the dry humor out of that in the one, I don't know. Like, I guess I'm on a different plane because I love that shit. But from dry humor and list to fire and brimstone. My man Lou. Down go the Tigers.
You know what? Great game. Great freaking game. I don't care what anybody's got to say about it. If you ain't on the train, I don't want to see you on it in December, January, and then on after. We limited LSU to 69-yard rushing, 2.3 average, and 0 touchdowns. Nussmeier and Van Buren Jr. combined for 23 for 32, 173 yards, and 0 touchdowns. LSU did not score a touchdown. If that doesn't make you happy as an Alabama fan, you're probably going to get classified in that whole woman thing that you can't be pleased. So you're going to need to do something about that whole situation, right? Cheer for yourself. But the fact that we forced 3 fumbles, recovered 2 of them, limited their 6'7" Xerxes tight end to no catches was absolutely phenomenal. And then on the other side, we only let LSU sack us once, force 1 fumble, and have 4 tackles for loss. We won that battle. We had 7 tackles for loss. So all in all, it was a good game. Could we get better at some things? Of course. But in my opinion, I think that's the exact type of game you want to have before you go against a team like Oklahoma. You don't want to go out there and show everything like the kitchen sink, because then Venerables is just going to have you on tape of everything you like to do. So we won and covered the spread. So everybody should be happy. And if you're not happy, well, I don't know what else to tell you, because this is the way Alabama's getting down. They're handling business and they're winning football games. I'm sorry that, we're not Ohio State. Actually, I'm not sorry. Or any of these other cupcake schools in the North that want to blow out teams for 8 out of 10 games in the season. This is the SEC. It's competitive. You get the shit kicked out of you down here. So it's a tough battle week in and week out. You're going to take some lumps. The fact that we took those corn dog eating mother and didn't let them score a touchdown should be all you need to know about the grit that Alabama's got going on. Petty, take us to the next one.
Yeah, that sums it up, man. Look, Bama dictated that game. Like I said, there was no point. There was at no point in that game where LSU was a threat to win the football game. And that tells you that Alabama did what they needed to do to exert their dominance, beat that ass, go 1-0, move on to the next man. Yeah. And that next man is Boomer Sooner, and we owe their ass a little bit of payback after last year.
Boomer Sooner with a week off.
Boomer Sooner with a week off. That means Mateer gets that hand 1 more week healthy, but does it matter? We'll see. I'm just going to open the floor because I've got my thoughts on this one as well. But I like listening to you guys talk more than that. But I want to hear what y'all say. Then I'll wrap a bow on some Sooner thoughts tonight. Dan, Boomer, payback time. Go there last year. They end the playoff dreams.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna throw away last year. I took that game soon after and threw it in the trash. That was horrible. This is a different year, different situation. We still have playoff aspirations. We got SEC championship. We still got our whole season ahead of us. We got a reason to be angry. We got them at home. We got the revenge factor on our side. We know the situation. We know what's been going on in the media about, Brent Venables sign stealing. But I don't think we need to play timid. We need to still try to dictate what goes on when we're on offense. We need to keep them guessing, get them on their heels, not let them dictate to us. It's a favorable matchup for us, defensively. Offensively, we got to get better. We got to improve on a whole lot of things. We got to be better than 2.5 yards per carry. But I look for us to be able to attack the field more vertically and get our playmakers the ball. Horton, he's been big. We need to get him back in the flow. Great possession receiver. We got to utilize his skills a little bit more on the outside. Find more ways to utilize Ryan Williams and Bernard, Lotsier Brooks. But we got to have some pulse of a run game, And I think, we should be able to get it going this week, despite the difficult front that we'll be facing.
Run game. I mean, that's a big topic. I know we're going to talk about it a little more later about the running thing, but tell me what your thoughts on Oklahoma, Van.
Look, man, I can't be as analytical as Dan or as fiery as Lou, and I am wanted in 2 counties, so I have to keep it calm. But, it's like this. We waltzed our happy asses into Norman, Oklahoma last year and got our teeth kicked in. We effectively got eliminated from the playoffs that day. A 2-loss Bama squad that was way more talented and showed up flat and honestly afraid. Well, guess what? That Oklahoma team is all grown up now, and they're led by a dual threat quarterback in Mateer and a defense that I would call elite. This ain't last year's Oklahoma. On the other side of that, this ain't last year's Alabama either. An ugly first game loss left a black eye, but did not slow the potential of this squad. That being said, Oklahoma is looking to play spoiler again. They are still in the thick of it as well. And I'd be lying if I said this wasn't the game that I was the most worried about all year. Offensively, we've gotten a little stale lately and one-dimensional due to a lack of a deep threat and a horrible run game that's hard to be optimistic about. But with Oklahoma using multiple fronts and their safeties been jumping routes like they're in other team's huddle, it makes me wonder what we can do to slow them down. Word on the street is they're good at stealing signals. And at times you don't have to steal signals with our offense if we're going to run the ball. You'll know where it's going. Pretty much nowhere. Grubb can call some magical plays, but there's a definite lack of continuity in what we do. Sometimes we try to get too cute and ignore the obvious. But again, with our inability to run, I can almost understand it. We're going to have to scheme up something to jumpstart that run game like we did against Georgia and Tennessee. Getting Bernard and Williams and Brooks involved in some different configurations will be key. Sweeps, quick timing-based short throws, getting players in space, and allowing our athletes to do what they do best. Oklahoma will not have to stack the box to stop our run, and they know that. They will have Ty's passing lanes filled with defenders. So we got to get creative, and I'm not talking about double laterals and trick plays. So now let's talk about Alabama's defense. They've carried Alabama recently more than the offense. We love to glaze the offense, but Kane Womack's squad has been holding it down, keeping everything in front of them and limiting big plays as they grind teams down to a stop in the red zone. The true definition of bend but don't break. I expect to see a lot of disguised coverages because there's been some times this year that Mateer has had fits with disguised coverages. His mobility is an issue, but seeing how Alabama handled LSU's backup last week gives me confidence that we can confine it and stop busted plays. So, honestly, I expect a similar game as to last week's. As long as the offense can kind of get its head out of its ass, I expect a similar result.
I kind of do too. I actually expect almost a spitting image from last week because I don't think – I'll get to that. I'm going to let Lou give his take. But on the sign stealing stuff, like my only take on that is let's just not be as dumb as Hugh Freeze and use the same damn signs. Like sign stealing is as old as like Methuselah. Like people have been stealing signs since been stealing. But
yeah, but he's got what Kiffin was talking about is they have somebody stealing them during the game. They have someone keeping track of what signs you do and then figuring out your cadence during the game.
So do we. What Kiffin was saying, Hugh Freeze is a dumbass that don't know how to cover it. Everybody knows that.
But we knew that before.
I don't like what people like. Lane Kiffin does not like Hugh Freeze. He thinks he's a moron. And any chance he gets to make fun of him, I think that was more making fun of Freeze because Like,
basically getting to see me if I was a head coach. I would just spend half my interview making fun of you.
Let's bring Sitzky on this show. He'll tell you he was stealing signs for Alabama when he worked for him.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Oklahoma is good at it, and that's y'all's. And I get y'all's, like, Oklahoma's really damn good at doing it. They're not Michigan good at it, but they're on a better level than anybody else. But look, just don't be Hugh Freeze dumb. Which, man, what a offensive guru he is, isn't it? You know, 1 week after getting fired, all of a sudden Auburn knows how to score. What do you know? But that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is Oklahoma, Lou. What do you see anything different than Dan and my man Van that broke down?
I'm gonna give a little bit more analytical take to it. So, this offense of Oklahoma is averaging 373 yards total per game, 236 yards through the air, 137 on the ground. They're averaging about 3.9 yards per carry. John Mateer is just under 2,000 yards for the season. 169 for 265 per passing attempts. That's good for 63.8%. So he is not elitely accurate, but he can complete some passes. He's got 8 touchdowns, but he also has 7 interceptions. So he does turn the ball over. He's got a couple of top targets, but here's the thing I want everybody to pay attention to. This is not an LSU wide receiver core at all. These guys are smaller and they're more fast twitch type of wide receivers. These guys can get up and down the field, especially his main target in Isaiah Satanga. This guy's a track star. He's got some legitimate, like, serious afterburners. He gets in the open field, it's over. He also likes to go to his senior tight end, Jaron Kinnick. This guy is actually a smaller tight end. Probably, I don't even know why he's listed at tight end at 6'2", but he is very, very effective in their passing scheme and being able to make key catches, especially on the third down conversions. Now they got a freshman running back, Torrey Blaylock. He's got 400 yards on the season, averaging 4.3 yards per carry. They got a sophomore, Xavier Robinson. He's their big back, 6 feet, 239 pounds. He's got 52 carries for 332 yards, and he's averaging about 6.4 yards per carry. And John Mateer is their third runner, and he's rushed for 94 times, 306 yards. He's not averaging too many yards per carry at 3.3, but he does have 6 touchdowns on the ground. So in the red zone, he is actually looking to score the ball with his legs and make plays. Now flip it to the defensive side. As Van said, this is one of the top defenses in the nation. They rank 7th overall and 7th in points given up at 14.1 points per game. They're allowing 181 yards through the air. That's 22nd in the nation. And they're only allowing 82.4 yards. That's 8th nationally on the ground. This is a very physical defense, but this is a linebacker-led defense. Their linebackers want to make plays. Their linebackers are flying around because their defensive line is creating all sorts of havoc. They got 3 guys that make the predominantly the weight. They're over 300 pounds. David Stone. Hold on a second. David Stone, Jaden Jackson, and Dominique Williams. These guys are all run over 300 pounds. Like I said in the earlier segment, they got some guys off the edge that can seriously affect the passer. And Taylor Wayne, he's got 11 tackles for a loss, 3.5 sacks. You also have who would be their sack specialist in R. Mason Thomas. He's a senior. He's got 9 tackles for loss and 6.5 sacks. This is a defense that wants to win the down and distance. They want to put you in third down and distance. They want to create a lot of negative plays, a lot of fumbles. They're going to be up in our face the whole time, which actually I think plays into our game a little bit better than most teams. This is going to be a smash mouth football game, but I fully think that the Tide are going to handle this.
I don't think that could have been broken down any better, Lou. I mean, we're talking mass chaos of biblical proportions. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. Sorry, that was for you, Van. I saw that in the chat. Loved it. Loved it. Yes, I used to randomly scream that in the bars after a few cocktails on the strip. Lou, but man, what you talked about Mateer, I said earlier tonight, I think he's the great X factor. To beat Alabama, you've got to have a quarterback that's a savvy gunslinger. But you brought up a great point. He's not the most accurate. If you give him time, he will throw you the ball. And I'm talking about the other team. Yep. And Bama's had a hell of a penchant for taking the ball. I mean, let's go back to that pick six against Tennessee. I mean, but just that's not it. Several big plays. I think this is a secondary game. I think this is a game where Bama exploits Oklahoma secondary, and I think this is a game where Alabama secondary can take the ball away and turn the tide, so to speak, on Mateer. And I'm gonna break it down to some small brass taxes. Look, I love Mateer. I think he's a ball player. I think he's good, but I think there are limitations with him. You know, let's go back to their last couple of big games. They lose one at home to Ole Miss. I know it was a rainy game, his hands down, but I think Bama is going to play them a lot similar. Then you go on the road to Neyland. At halftime, they're getting beat in the total yards department, 250-99. It was just one of those weird games where Tennessee kept shooting themselves in the foot. Tennessee plays a clean game, and they run Oklahoma out of that stadium. That was the first time since joining the SEC, Oklahoma's put a 3 and a 0 on the scoreboard against an SEC team. The only time. And Tennessee's defense is straight broken in the back half. Bama's defense is not. Bama's defense is actually in the top half overall of the entire country right now. This game, and that's to your point on this, Van and Lou, I thought you just really broke down that offense kind of very well there. I think this is a game Bama dictates, much like the LSU game. I almost feel like we get a carbon copy. I know it's a big game. I do think Oklahoma's going to look different, maybe more physical defensively, but at the end of the day, the outcome is going to be quite like the LSU game. Maybe I'm crazy, but I'm not overselling Oklahoma right now. I don't think they're still the team that, I mean, got manhandled by a bad Texas team at the time. You know,
people forget too with LSU, man, like they were ranked coming into the season like number 6 as far as talent evaluation.
Yeah.
They were calling them the 6th most talented team in the country. So they ain't a bunch of scrubs out there. Coach or no coach, guys like that are going to play ball. So
yeah.
I was impressed, especially on the other side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball. Shit, man, we were holding it down.
Yeah. Well, look, man, we might as well call this like the elephant sandwich, because this is kind of almost the other elephant in the room right now with Alabama football, right? The run game. You know, it's regardless of what you want to say, I think it's a part of the DNA at this point, and we're winning despite it. If it ever becomes a thing, then this offense becomes completely unstoppable. But I know this sounds crazy, and maybe I'm wrong, and there becomes a game where like, well, this is where it matters, Petty. I'm not sold it matters right now, because I don't think anybody's perfect. And so it maybe it does become Achilles heel, but I kind of flirted with it earlier. There is one guy, and I know it's all about pass pro with these guys, but man, I'm assuming you are going to talk about him, but Daniel Hill looks more like an Alabama running back than any running back we've had at Alabama in a couple of years. I'm going to let y'all take the floor. Dan, you've been silent way too damn long. I mean, do we need a new shakeup at RB1? Is Jam still not 100%? Is Jam is what he is? Is it time for Daniel Hill? What is it?
Well, it's all of the above, man. Listen,
I pass.
Each one of the running backs bring a different skill set. You know, we don't have 2 running backs alike. You know, Kevin Riley's your slasher. You know, he's actually, believe it or not, he's the smallest, but he's probably the most complete right now. You know, pass pro, running in between the tackles, receiving out the backfield. He doesn't have the size for it, but he's probably our most complete back, which is why he's playing the most. Daniel Hill, you know, he's, you know, coming out of high school, you know, he didn't play much running back, you know, so he lined up at receiver a lot. If you watch his highlights, he was lined up, you know, primarily as receiver in high school, which I thought was odd for his size. But so he still had to learn the intricacies of, you know, the position. and but he's getting there. I think physically he's our most gifted back, along with Jam Miller. Jam right now, I don't think his vision is where it needs to be right now. I think it's more of a matter of him, hitting the hole, then making his move. So it's too much. It's not enough lateral quickness, and we need to get him downhill, whatever kind of way we can, whether it's in the pistol or whatever. We got to do what we need to do to be able to help these guys. It's a lot of different things, scheme, fit, personnel, but it's not just on the backs, but it's a lot of things they can do to counteract that.
Dan, how are you seeing it, man? No, you're not short of opinions.
Look, I think Hill gives us more physicality and toughness right now. His pass blocking isn't quite as good as Jam's, but it is coming along. Jam, and this is not a personal attack because I like him. Ever since the concussion, he looks a little, I don't know, I think he's second-guessing himself. He's second-guessing what he needs to do. He looks a little shy on contact, not really lowering those shoulders. And the problem with him all year, in my opinion, when he has been healthy and played, is wherever he meets contact, that's the end of the run. And we need somebody that, look, I know the run. I've said it till I'm blue in the face, and I'll probably say a little bit more about it here. I know it's an O-line question, but the totality of this question is who should be running back. And if I tell you that I don't think any of them will improve the run game, then I have to explain why. Against that Oklahoma defense, I'm not sure you can just take Jam out and plug Hill in for the running. You're going to have to let Hill be the starter. And because you start pulling guys for certain things, it becomes predictable. You can't just plug and play for obvious situations. So I don't really have an answer on who should be RB1. I'd take Hill right now, but I think AK Deer is the spark we need. I think he shows more burst and flash than anyone else on the roster. And when you start comparing Jam Miller and Hill last week, Jam's longest run was 6, Hill's was 7. Hill was a nice change of pace, but they averaged out about the same overall. So I don't think swapping running backs is going to fix the problem. I want to see – I know it's not an O-line question, guys, but I kind of got to turn this question into something here. So I want to see our guys going through the hole, and the other guys are scared because the freight train of misery is meeting you in it. So changing the running backs will not make a terrible run blocking line play better, in my opinion. So I'm going to flip this question on its side and say we have to scheme up something like we did against Georgia and Tennessee. Committing to the run is great. I'm all for it, but we have to scheme it up in a variety of ways. And I also think quick, accurate passes used as an extension of the run game will matter. I like our receivers' abilities to in space better than anything else we have going for us. A high percentage pass of 2 to 5 to 10 yards is less likely to stall out our drive than a running back running behind Formby for 1 yard. We're not built for ground and pound ball, so why waste our time? So I'm looking for Ty to do some things that I used to watch Tom Brady do. When they couldn't get the run game going, he would do some quick release stuff, getting the ball out around 2 seconds and forcing the defense to adjust. And then maybe we can scheme up some runs somewhere. So unless we can get John Hannah to come by and teach these guys what ruthless aggression is, I've kind of given up on what to do with the running back and how to improve the run game.
And said it, Lou, you good or do you got to run, bud?
I'm good for right now.
Okay. Knew it was kind of getting crazy around the house. So before I threw it over to you, I wanted to make sure. All right, man. Close us out on this one.
There definitely needs to be a shakeup. Jam doesn't got it anymore. In my opinion, he's not seeing the hole. Not saying that the offensive line is not blocking, but this is Alabama. We've had running backs be able to run the ball when the offensive line has sucked before. So I don't think this is anything different than some of these other guys had to deal with. I think we need to put A.K. Deer in flat out. I think he needs to get some burn in this rotation. I think he's one of the only ones that actually showed an ability to actually hit a hole going 100 miles an hour. I don't think Daniel Hill should necessarily be RB1 because he's the type of back that there needs to be some sort of momentum, and I don't think he can create it at this point, especially with his inexperience as being a running back. I think he fits perfectly as the hammer or the thunder and a lightning and a thunder running back duo, but I definitely do think there needs to be a shakeup. Jam looks slow. He's not seeing the ball. He's missing blocks. I mean, he's dropping the ball sometimes, and I know these things happen, but I think some of these hits he's taken have taken a toll on him, and I think it's starting to show this late in the season. And we got a stable running back, so why not use them, you know? So I really do think there needs to be a shakeup, and my shakeup would be A.K. Deer, flat out.
I'm done with that. I'm a fan of AK.
I'm a fan.
AK's the real deal. And why not, man? If he gives you the best chance at the home run, which we've seen that he seems to do so. We'll see, man. But again, we're this far along. I'll be interested to see if Grubb and company are just going to stick with what they've done or try to shake it up. We'll see. Because, man, I do think this running game can hit another level. It makes this offense so differently scary. And much more formidable heading into the playoffs. All right, guys. Man, we have come to that time where all these magical fans that have been so awesome tonight get their questions answered. I don't know if we had do we have a few?
We got 4.
We got 4. Well, we will get to those and get you out for Boomer Sooner Week. K-Spray 1, did Coach KD have a 1,000-yard back at Washington?
Yeah,
he did.
He did.
The
Dylan
last
Johnson.
one.
Yeah. Dylan Johnson was his name, right? Yeah, but you think
they had a Joe Moore Award-winning line that year.
There you go. And it was a different type of line that fit their scheme. They had a much smaller, more athletic line, you know, and that's why I was talking about personnel-wise. You got to have guys in your system that fit your system. You know, their tackle was, I think it was about 6'3", 6'4", or right around 300 pounds. You know, he was able to get out on the edge, do the pin and pull, you know.
The biggest guy on that line, Dan, was 322 pounds.
Okay, yeah. So it was a smaller line, you know, and they wasn't as long. They were smaller, more agile. And you know, it was I'm saying scheme and personnel fit, you know, and we just don't have that right now. And that's something that, you know, they're trying to improve and work on. So it's not just, you know, running back and Coach DeBoer not knowing how to run the ball or the, you know, offense coordinate. It's just a matter of having the right personnel to fit the scheme that you're trying to do.
Good stuff, Dan. Keith Holcomb. Y'all heard the scuttlebutt about DeBoer still not being comfortable at Bama. Don't know how much truth there is to it.
Echo what I said. Go ahead.
Let me take this. This is completely different from what you're saying, Dan. And I'm addressing everybody that maybe not has been an athlete and you might not understand this. When somebody says they're not comfortable as an athlete or a coach, you don't ever want to get comfortable.
Nope.
So the fact that he's saying he's not comfortable means he's dangerous. That's a good thing. You get comfortable, you get complacent, you get lazy, you stop caring about the little things. So the fact that he is uncomfortable, that is amazing to me. So everybody thinks that's a negative thing, needs to just go ahead and put that the hell out their minds. Because a head coach that is uncomfortable is dangerous. Saban wasn't ever comfortable.
I was about to say Saban actually preached uncomfortable. Like that was actually part of his process. Was you're never comfortable. Like comfortable is what you nailed it. It's complete.
No, comfortable is what Brian Kelly was.
Yeah. Okay, that's Houston Nutt at Arkansas. That's those type of coaches. That's who. Yeah, it's a good question though, Keith, the Scuba, but I think it's a good to also bring to light to point out that's not a bad thing. It may sound bad, but it's not. LaToya Billingsley. So we just wasted Washington's last year of eligibility.
I mean, I guess. I mean, if you're not good enough to be RB1, I guess.
You're not. I mean, he wasn't ever promised a starting role or anything in the rotation, so I wouldn't say so.
It was a competition
here for an opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of part of it. Dirt Road Bigfoot question: what has happened to Richard Young?
He got blew up against Wisconsin, I think, and I ain't seen him since.
And I'll be honest, man, he's a step slow. He doesn't. He's.
Hold on a second. I think some of these running back questions need to stop being aimed at the offensive line coach and need to start being aimed at the damn running back coach. Because as we were discussing in our group chat, Gillespie ain't done shit since he's been here. Everyone's like, well, he had Brian Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs. Yes, he did. But they were already dogs. You look at the people he's brought in and trained, they've either fallen off, transferred, or just flat out sucked the freaking pond water. So I don't think it's our offensive line coach. Our offensive line coach has cut them sacks down in half. What hasn't happened is our running backs producing, and that is coaching. Yeah, they're missing blocks. That's called coaching. They're not seeing holes. That's called coaching. That's not all on the offensive line.
No.
These are all grown-ass men. You guys got to stop looking at these men like they're kids. They're not kids. They can make their own decision. I mean, I'll give you a great example right now. Justice Haynes goes to Michigan, and all of a sudden he's a great running back. Like, y'all need to think about this when these kids are going to other schools and they're able to run the ball. They're able to do things that they weren't doing at Alabama. I think the problem might be Robert Gillespie.
Yep.
Because we haven't had a fleet of foot running back since his whole tenure. There hasn't been a scat back guy that could get in and out of a phone booth. We had Jahmyr Gibbs, but he was a transfer.
Yep.
In my opinion, if y'all gonna attack Cap, you need to equally attack Robert Gillespie because they're Robert Gillespie's players that aren't hitting these holes, that are getting knocked down in the backfield, that are not being able to pass block. It's Robert Gillespie's guys. That's what that's something like that people. I don't understand why people aren't like identifying that. If a position group is not doing well, then it's not another position group's coach's job. It's that position group's coach to get them heads in gear and to do their damn jobs.
I don't think anything else needs to be added to that one. Well done, Lou.
Just saying. If you're gonna call somebody out, make sure you're calling the right person out for the right type of things. If you want to call Coach Cap out on there not being open holes to run through, sure, you can go ahead and hit him on that. But if you're gonna attack the running game, attack the damn running backs. You don't attack the if our special teams, our defense is shitty, you don't say our kicker sucks, even though our kicker does suck. But that's a completely different conversation.
And here's the thing too, like, if you grew up watching football like I did, you tried to watch every damn game you could catch, college, pro, blah, 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 blah. Barry Sanders didn't have the greatest line to run behind either. He made it happen. And I know these guys aren't Barry Sanders. They're not in Barry Sanders fucking same galaxy. But great running backs find a way, okay? They break the arm tackles. Like, Love Jam to death. But, man, any contact he meets, the play is over now. That's on Jam. You have to be able to break plays. You've got to be able to be shifty. You've got to make some things happen.
He's 225 pounds.
Absolutely.
Like, he is not a small dude. And he's not. He's getting tackled by safeties and corners. Y'all, it's our running backs. But don't worry. We got help on the way in the future, ladies and germs.
Oh, yeah.
Help on the way in the future. But that's a whole nother show. We're gonna make y'all come back and have us listen to. So, Petty, take us out.
Hey, man, another fantastic night with my favorite Crimson Avengers, my homies, man, and my man Lou. Look, Lou, again, I'm going to finish it the way I started it more than anything on this day. We give thanks to veterans, and you, my friend, we appreciate you, my brother. But with those words, I'm going to send it out. Everybody tell us where to like, follow, do all the social stuff. I'm going to let Lou finish, and I'm going to let Lou close it on down. Dan, where can we find you when you aren't shaking it down?
Hey, man, you catch me on X at Final Whistle Dan. You can follow me on Instagram, Dan James IV. Facebook, Dan James IV. You catch me right here every Tuesday. The Final Whistle, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central.
Man, other than photos at the local county jail saying, look out for the wanted posters.
He will bite. But anyways, man, I really don't have any social media outside of Facebook because I really don't care about people's opinions. I don't like ESPN. I don't like none of these sports talk shows. I can formulate my own opinion. It may not be right, but it's mine. You know, I don't need nobody talking for me. So I don't keep up with a lot of things. But I got a Facebook, and if you see my big-ass head on it, and you see Van Edwards, you know you got the right one. So y'all send me a friend request. We'll shoot the shit. You'll see some crazy stuff posted sometimes. Other than that, you catch me on Tuesday night, the most important night besides game night, cutting it up with the Avengers over here on the Final Whistle Network. And to sum up Daniel Petty, man, and thank you, veterans. Happy Veterans Day.
Yep. Don't do this shit without you.
Absolutely.
Y'all are the best. Really. You're the best Americans are. So with that said, Lou, tell them all about the awesome stuff that all of our wonderful new subscribers are going to get with their subscription to the Final Whistle.
Well, on Saturday mornings, you can join us right here at 8:30 a.m. Central. We will be doing the Saturday AM Scramble. It's me and a couple other guys covering the top 25 playoff rankings now, playoff implications, and what games are going on, top matchups. It's about an hour and a half. It's a great morning show. Everybody come check it out. We give you a whole bunch of information. I got guys from around the country. It's not just a Bama show. I got guys from the Big Ten coming and talking about it. It's a good time. And then on Saturday night, you can find a couple of us for the Ivory Room for the Alabama post-game show. Me and Van will be there. Hopefully Dan gets there this time, and we'll be breaking down the game, a quick synopsis of what's going on. And on Tuesday nights, you can find us exclusively right here at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern on the best channel covering the greatest team about the greatest football team in the damn land. And you can find me on X, 456 The Final Whistle for the network, and 4Loose21. That's me. And you know what? I want to thank everybody for coming out and joining us, showing all your support. Continue doing that. We got a lot more things coming up. So be sure to stay tuned. And Petty, you already know what to do.
Roll motherfucking Tide.
No piss November, baby.
No piss November. You heard him. Roll it.